Speaker, the member says that the tax change was a promise. So was electoral reform. So was the $10 billion deficit that suddenly became $20 billion. So was a tax on stock options that never happened. Promises mean nothing. Motions in the House of Commons move markets. And only that minister knew when he would introduce that motion and was able to predict what impact it would have on stock markets. Someone sold 680,000 shares prior to the introduction of that motion, saving $500,000. Who was it?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I've said on several occasions, the Minister of Finance has followed and complied with the request of the Commissioner. The Commissioner of Ethics is taking action, and we have confidence in her integrity.
Well, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, John Iveson indicated that he had seen some documents showing that the sale of the 680,000 shares by the minister would have happened on December the 3rd. December the 3rd would be the settlement date for a sale that would have happened on November the 30th. We know that such a sale occurred by somebody, and that somebody avoided a 5% drop in Morneau Shepell shares that happened after he introduced his motion. Can the minister confirm that he was the one that sold that block of stock?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since the Minister of Finance took on his role, he has complied with the Commissioner, and we are put in place a screen. And all assets were held in that way. He will continue the important work he is doing.
Back to everything was done with the Ethics Commissioner. I wonder if the minister told the Ethics Commissioner that he was going to sell $10 million of shares in stocks that would drop only a week later when he introduced a bill affecting the entire stock market. So I'll ask that question directly. Did the minister discuss the date of the sale of the shares along with the date of his motion on taxes?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having had an opportunity last night to conduct a panel with the member opposite, I saw his caution not to repeat outside of this House the remarks that he is making here. He can simply make them outside should he so desire. What I can say is that the tax measures that he is referring to are tax measures that saw an increase in taxes for on the wealthiest 1% and a decrease for other Canadians. These are commitments we made in the campaign.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the member is absolutely right. We did do a panel yesterday, at which point I asked outside of the walls of this House when the Minister of Finance sold his 680,000 shares in Morneau Shepell. I also enumerated all the facts leading up to that sale. And I am absolutely confident that everything I've said out there and in here is true. Would he commit that if I go out and repeat my question in the lobby at this moment, that the Finance Minister will meet me there and answer the question?
Members not to bang on their tables. Applause is permitted. Not banging on their desks. Members should know that on all sides. The
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Order, please. Mr. Speaker, I think that the member didn't understand my answer, so perhaps I can reiterate it for him. I asked him was he prepared to repeat the allegations, not the questions. There's a very big difference. Now, Mr. Speaker, What I can tell you is that the Minister of Finance has always worked.
I tried asking the minister if he sold 680,000 shares on November 30th inside the House of Commons, and now I invited him to come and answer that question outside of the House of Commons, and I know the House will be disappointed to learn that he did not show up to answer the question. So, will the Prime Minister answer it on his behalf? Who was it that sold 680,000 Morneau Chappelle shares 1 week before tax measures were introduced on the floor of the House?
Secretary Parlementaire.
Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I mentioned, the Minister of Finance has always worked with the Ethics Commissioner and will continue to do so.